right, welcome to the next installment of Forward Finance, the podcast where we navigate the digital age of finance. My name is Jeroen and I'll be your host today. And today at the table we have Tim and Ravi. We will be talking about Pigment. It's like a new upcoming FP&A solution on the market. It has been on the market for some time now, but not too long. And we want to demystify. What are we talking about actually? What does this software company do? What do they do different from other people on the market? So that's why we have two experts in the field. You both have been talking to Pigment yourselves. So we have a good connection with the software vendor itself. And then we will be talking about the what's in the house of Pigment.
So if you have a volume driver or a growth driver, it will be completely integrated with either purchasing, your bill of material, going to your P&L. So that the whole philosophy behind the engine is completely different.
All right, so welcome guys. Please give a short introduction about yourself for our new listeners. Tim, why don't you start?
Yeah, so I'm Tim Ahmed. I love networking. I love advising on solutions and new solutions. Very much looking at new solutions, and also have a lot of interesting people behind them. People who are also energetic and motivated in what they do. And I see that a lot in Pigment.
Cool. Well, I'm really glad to have you here. Ravi, can you tell us something about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, really nice to sit next to you here. You're like a legend for me, so that's really nice. I'm a podcast virgin here, so maybe I'll make some few mistakes, so apologize for that. But my name is Ravi Santokhi, work as a lead consultant at Finex, doing implementations around 15 years now, all around planning, budgeting, forecasting. So it started with FP&A, but more now it's more going towards XP&A, the drivers behind it, using operational data, and I'm really excited to work with tools that are really flexible and use all kinds of operational data to calculate drivers. And so basically when I sleep, I dream about those things.
Well, that's good. I hope you don't doze off during the episode then and keep awake, because we need your attention and your expertise, but I think that will be fine. I'll quickly introduce Finex as well. So I'm working at Finex, Ravi's working at Finex, you're a partner of Finex. So at Finex what we do is we implement EPM solutions, but we consider ourselves completely independent because we love each software vendor equally, and we know the most relevant ones on the market, and we have been implementing those on the market. So we think we are in a position where we can offer independent advice. And if you're looking for a new solution, you need to have somebody that knows all of them, because, well, you need to have independent advice on which one is the perfect fit for you. However, today we will be talking about Pigment. In our last episode that we had some time ago, we were talking about statistical forecasting, and Pigment also passed the conversation there. And I really wanted to drill down on this Pigment solution because it's new. I haven't implemented it myself yet, but I know that other people at Finex did. And I would like to deep dive on that. So can you tell something to the listeners that might not have heard about Pigment before, something about Pigment which would be interesting for them to know? Let's start with you, Ravi.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, Pigment is quite new in the market, now a couple of years, but growing quite rapidly. Getting some new tech companies, online retailers. So that's quite interesting. And the whole vision behind it is that it uses all kinds of transactional data. And that's what I really like, that now with XP&A upcoming and using operational data, you need large volumes of data set and can hold those large volumes of data set. And I'm talking about millions of records, where in the more traditional tools, where you need to make like a drill through from an EPM to your transactional system, we are storing all those details in Pigment. So we can like continuously real time use those transactions to make projections on those drivers. So I think that's a major difference if you compare with other solutions. Yeah.
And what's your experience?
Yeah, fantastic. Tim? I mean, I ran a poll a couple of months ago to the community, and it's about 35,000 people. I just asked them a question. Not that 35,000 people replied, but in that sense, 75% have not heard of it. I mean, what is it? You know?
So it's definitely a new solution on the market.
I had someone in the Middle East making fun of it. Is it made of pig or something like that? But yeah, exactly. So
for the record, it's not.
So that's quite funny. So no, in essence, I kind of contacted them, and I actually Went out there. I did a breakfast seminar with them, talked to some of their customers and some of their potential clients, and talked about what I did. And I had a demo of it.
Cool.
And I found it really good. It was quite intuitive, quite pretty also. I saw it, it can do a lot of things, and it's easy to kind of maneuver what I saw about it. It wasn't script driven, kind of really hard to understand. And the people behind it, I saw a lot of energy. A youngish company.
Yeah.
They have a lot of vigor, but also seem to be very helpful. And also, it's like I would like to dare I say a mini Facebook. You walk into the office, everyone's really having a good time, which is different.
It's a really modern oriented company, you would say.
Exactly.
Yeah, so when we decided to put Pigment in our portfolio, we did a check if it fit, but also on an organizational culture perspective. And we at finance were really informal. There's a flat hierarchy. There's no structure, basically. It's really in a different way, And that's also the feeling that I have with Pigment also. When we want to do something together or organize an event, or we need sponsorship, or we need approval, it's like really fast. It's like you ask them 8 o'clock in the evening, and then the next day they say, hey, fine, let's go for it, So it's really flat. It's not like you have different layers. So it's really young company, basically what you're saying. So that's something I really like about it, that we can have short lines with them and talk about stuff if we need to fix something. Yeah.
I would like to drill down on the specific part of the company in a few minutes, but usually one of the more topics at the beginning of the podcast is the events that you've been going to. You mentioned the breakfast event, Tim. Ravi, have you been going to any events related to Pigment as well?
Yes. So a few months, I think 1 or 2 months ago, just before the holidays, we had this World Finance Forum event.
Yeah.
I participated in the panel actually, where I led one of the discussions, and the main topic was moving from FP&A to XP&A, but what are the differences between FP&A and XP&A? And so that was really interesting to be there and have a discussion about what type of people do we need to have. Is it like IT driven or finance driven? And Pigment is low code, no need to script a lot. So we discussed a little bit on those topics as well. And that was also really interesting to be there also with AI, machine learning, what those technique can help us in moving forward in the XP&A domain. Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. That's good to know. So then let's dive into this company culture, because I have some critical questions prepared. So what I've heard in the market, the buzz is that a lot of people that were previously working for Anaplan have left the company and have been started working at Pigment. So is Pigment like an Anaplan 2.0, or is it something completely different? What's your take on that?
Well, my take on that is, if you compare it with Anaplan, well, they sold it to Anaplan and they started something new, and that's what you usually see in the market happening with HFM and OneStream. There's also the same philosophy a little behind it. But what I really like about it, that if you compare it really with Anaplan, the front end is completely different. So more from hierarchy sorting and visualizing it. That's much easier to work with from a front-end perspective, but then have all those power in calculation, in traceability of the data. It's all in the backend. It's quite stable in there. Yeah, so in that sense, from a backend point of view, it looks similar to Anaplan, but then from a front-end perspective, it's completely new philosophy, more what's now in the trend in the market with different type of EPM solutions. Yeah.
So it's basically an evolvement of, then I wouldn't necessarily say that the one is better than the other.
No.
They're both branching off in different direction, as you say.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
In this community we have, people are very much still fixated with Excel. Excel functionality, and other things too. In the Hyperion world, we had the Smart View add-in and things like that.
Yeah.
So one of the things I thought about Pigment initially when I saw as a disadvantage, maybe that it wasn't really an Excel-based kind of tool. Yeah. Now I do know that they've put in an add-in now where they're going to do. But do you think sometimes that's a way where companies might not adopt it because they don't have that amazing Excel capability?
Yeah, exactly. This is always a really good question, because sometimes in tool selections we come across we're comparing Pigment with Anaplan and Fenna. And Fenna is really Excel driven. It has lots of native functionalities in Excel.
Yeah.
And then financials say, hey, I would like to use it in Excel. So there is some capabilities now in Pigment.
Yep.
But if you compare it with Fenna, then for sure it will be different in the philosophy, because in our mindset with Pigment we want to like move away from Excel, but then still have this Excel add-in to just help financials if they still want to work in it. And it's fine, because you can still like drill, slice and dice in Excel. You can still type in data in Excel. You can still submit it to the database. It also takes over the security and the alerting, which has the workflow capabilities of Pigment in there. Mm-hmm. So it's like an Excel interface, but then with the power of a database behind it, with the Pigment engine behind it. So it won't be as powerful as Fenna, but I think that's fine, because we want to do more bigger digital transformation, FP&A kind of projects, where organizations really should say, okay, we want to step away from Excel and not just be close to it.
So if in a sense you're saying that Excel could be a limitation for
Yes.
financials.
Yeah.
But I think that's something hard to take in for a lot of financials, because we live with Excel. Because you dream about digital transformation stuff and FP&A at night. I dream about Excel, my spreadsheets. I sometimes I get home and I really want to show my beautiful spreadsheet to my wife, who feigns some kind of interest in my spreadsheets. But I think it's hard to conquer the hearts of the true financials if you're not really engaging with Excel. How do you think about that?
Yeah, and that's always a conflict, because we have this we want to do lots of complicated driver-based model where everything is integrated with each other, where you can show data at a higher level and then drill in it and understand it. And then on the other hand, you have Excel, where people say, hey, but I would like to have Excel. So if you say, okay, I want to move away from it, but I still want to have it there if I have some financials that want to use Excel, then it's fine. If you say, no, I really want to stick a lot at Excel, then probably Pigment is not the right choice for the organization.
I've been running some polls in terms of Pigment to understand a bit more about user friendliness, customer service, all these things, and what it comes out with Venna, and 80% believe it's more user friendly and customer oriented in terms of the company. It's doing something well.
Definitely.
So it's doing something well. But, it is sometimes a key. I mean, some of the customers or potential customers I was talking to at this breakfast event, the questions came on and on about the Excel question. Really did. They have volumes, they have Excels to the hilt. They have to convert, they have to do manual, this, that. That is a big ask sometimes to kind of convince these accountants. They've always been using this. So my take on this, Pigment have to really embrace Excel in some way. It might not be the fact that it's the main thing, but the choice element.
The choice element should be there, and I think they're moving on in that way, because in the beginning there wasn't an Excel add-in. Now they have an Excel add-in, and I think they will see that companies really want this, and they will also invest more functionalities and features in the Excel version as well. That's also the reason why they picked up so much of an investment at 250 million now. So they have a lot of R&D investment that they can do. So it's really interesting to see which way it will go in the next in these coming months, actually.
And to add, that's an interesting point actually that you make there, Ravi. So you mentioned this investment that was made by whom actually?
By 12 investors in total. So they invested a lot of money actually in the last couple of years. And so I think that's a really big amount in such a less time. So they see a lot of potential. They're growing and they keep on investing in the engine. So it's really interesting to see which way it will go.
Do we already see like the dividends of those investments in terms of software upgrades, or how often does it upgrade actually?
So this is also a really nice point. So if you look into more the other cloud systems and compare it with Pigment is like almost on a weekly basis there's a new update coming out.
Weekly, really?
Sometimes even twice a week.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
So I don't know how they
rapidly,
do it,
yeah.
but I think it's like intrinsic value that they have, probably, that people love to do stuff instead of that somebody saying, hey, you need to build this or you need to do this. It's more, so I think there's really nice things going there.
Basically, you're seeing the passion of the developers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really great. I mean, I love talking to passionate people about any topic, basically. But if you talk with people that are passionate about something, you can see their energy and you can see that drill down actually into the product itself.
Yes.
So that's really great. I think that's a really awesome thing to have. Talking about functionality. So we mentioned the Excel add-in. Looking at more modern types of forecasting that we have currently. So we've been talking about statistical forecasting in the past in our podcast. What kind of things does Pigment do in that particular regard?
Yeah, so from an AI perspective, machine learning, there are a number of new capabilities coming out. I don't know if you saw it, but on LinkedIn they did a really big campaign about it. They're moving towards machine learning, that Pigment will basically suggest alerting based on data, see different trends, and keep you guided. Hey, this is going on. So there are lots of AI functionalities that are being rolled out as we speak at the moment, and that's also really interesting for us to start using and implementing into our customers and seeing how they adopt it. But it's a two-way street, I would say, because one way you have this technology that goes really fast. Yeah. And then you have these financials that say, hey, where's my Excel?
Yeah, I can't keep up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so they also need to see that this can help them and use that. So we are not only focused from a technology point of view in artificial intelligence, but also helping our financials in how they can understand it and how they can use it.
It's a thing about mindset, if you put it like that, right? So you have to learn to adopt new technologies in order to stay relevant in the financial workspace. Any comments on that, Tim?
Definitely. I mean, another poll I ran of people who'd be interested in Pigment, 33% was interested in the intuitive modeling capabilities and the way they can evolve and what they can do, a lot of other things with that. So it's very important, all this stuff that's happening in terms of Pigment, in terms of the updates, in terms of the listening to the people. I mean, that's what I see the trend. Why they liked is because the satisfaction level. They're listening, they're doing. It's not taking a long time to get stuff out there. They listened about the Excel stuff. Yeah, it's coming already. So they're listening and they're proactive, and also they're embracing AI and predictive analytics more better than others. So in that sense, I think it's all good in that way. If you have, you don't have to invest more into other tools. They actually have it in there. What I see, but as I said, it's young. EPM is it's one of those things. People are loyal to vendors sometimes, or they're tied into vendors, or it's very difficult to move away. And you have to think of best of breed with Pigment. It's not a uniform methodology in terms of doing consolidation. Yeah,
of course. You won't be doing your ESG reporting or your consolidation, or am I wrong here, Ravi?
No, you're completely right. It's really a point solution. That means it's like fully focused on planning, budgeting, forecasting, but not on consolidation. So if you have like consolidation requirements and you say, hey, I would like to do that in Pigment, I will say, hey, don't do that. Look at other point solutions. And they have this really nice cooperation now with Fluence technology.
They collaborate with Fluence.
Yes, Vanna do too.
Yeah, Vanna does as well.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So you see this trend also that all those point solutions that are like really powerful in one domain within the CPM, that they are start to looking at smart partnership and how they can work together, make some native connectivity in there, get the budget, the consolidated budget in out Pigment, send it to a consolidation tool that consolidates,
And then send back, so you all have your reporting in one place, but at least the data has been sound and calculated in the various best-of-breed solutions.
And in the past, this was seen as a negative side, saying, "Hey, then I need different tools. I will need different skill sets to maintain it." But there's always pros and cons. So if you have a platform solution which can do consolidation and planning. But what we see in the market is that they are sometimes good in consolidation, less in planning, or the other way around. better in planning, and they also do consolidation. But then you don't have best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So this is also one of, and I'm really interested to see what you think about the platform versus the point solution.
Yeah.
Which way it's going.
Yeah, I mean, I want to touch on a topic called total cost of ownership. The reason is a lot of people, they like the ideas, but the fact is, investing in two systems, does it cost a lot of more money? Them talking to each other, interfaces and things like that. So people have to think about that and the pain of implementing two different solutions and all this stuff. So it's quite good argument. I do believe out there are two different types of company: people who do want to do everything in one stop shop, and others who really embracing best of breed. And in that sense, my question to you is total cost of ownership of Pigment compared to others. What is that like?
So if you look at from a license point of view, they have this license model based on a number of driver models that you basically use. So you don't have to pay completely for the whole platform and say if you use it a lot in the future, then you will have benefits in the future. That means you'll start to pay a lot of money now and not using everything. So that's what they didn't did. They said
that's what they don't do. Okay.
They say it's based on number of driver models that you have. So if you use like only a workforce planning model, you'll pay less. And if you move on and say I'm gonna use it and utilize it for multiple different models, that's basically the model behind it. But from an implementation point of view, it's much faster than other implementations actually. So that's quite interesting because we always do it together with our customers. So from that angle, it's already a win. But then also in terms of speed of implementing models, it's also much faster. So it's always difficult to say the total cost of ownership.
Of course,
but if you look at these things, then you see significant benefits coming out of it.
So I know it's a really tough question to ask, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So in your experience, what is like the lead time of the total implementation on average? I mean, all the different drivers are different, and nobody knows for sure, and it's not exact science. So you can't keep Ravi to his word now. But in your experience, how many days do you need to implement like a regular planning model?
Okay, and which kind of planning models are you talking about?
Let's go with workforce planning because you mentioned it already.
And the granularity of the workforce planning model?
Average granularity.
A lot of questions.
Do you need Dutch specific functionalities in there? No, exactly what you say. So it's really difficult to say, but if you say a planning model, we do sprints of 3 weeks and roll it out. So if you would compare it in that sense, I would say 15 to 20 mandates for a planning model, I would say.
Wow.
I was really impressed by that.
That is phenomenal. And how does that happen? I mean, why? How can they do that?
Well, it's also about the way you model it. So everything is connected always to each other. So if you have a volume driver or a growth driver, it will be completely integrated with either purchasing, your bill of material, going to your P&L. So that the whole philosophy behind the engine is completely different than, for example, I worked a lot with Board or with Anaplan or Jedox. I'm comparing it with those tools.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So it's really different in that sense. So I was shocked by that, and from a positive angle, because as a consultant, I would say, okay, the more mandates is better for us. Yeah, but actually, we want to make added value to our customer.
We want to be impactful on the short term, of course. And I mean, in comparison to other platform solutions, I've been doing planning projects. It usually like averages out on 70-ish days. So the fact that you are on 15 to 20 days, that's an amazing improvement considering. And then the total cost of ownership discussion becomes totally different. Cool. I think it's really interesting. So there's a lot to take in right now, but I also think that we have to slowly start wrapping up because of course we can talk about this for hours. I think. So any closing thoughts that you might have, Tim? Can you give us some? Yeah.
So my view is out there. Have a look at Pigment. Compare it to what you have. Compare it to what you might think of. It doesn't cost anything for a demo. You can give a demo, have a look at it. What I saw of it, I mean, I'm completely vendor neutral. I don't care about any vendors in particular. It's quite good. and it's good. The people behind it is really, really good too. They have a good backstory.
There's a good vibe also.
Yeah, it's a good vibe. I feel good when I talk to them. You know,
Cool.
that's
That
it.
sounds like a mark of approval.
Yeah.
How about you, Ravi?
Yeah, for me it's really interesting where it will go. So I would say to everybody, have a look at it, dive into it. If you have questions, reach out. You know, don't see it as a risk, because we talked about it already that it's difficult to move to a new EPM solution.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, you need to try it out and see it. We can do a proof of concept, whatever. Just try it.
Maybe for like a more short-term gain. I'm remember that you made some videos, Ravi, about the UI. I will post those videos in the show notes. You can have a look about it yourself, because of course it's a matter of listening, but also you have to have a feeling with what it looks like.
Exactly.
Additionally, we will be hosting the Future of Forecasting this November, if I'm not mistaken. We will be showing Pigment there as well, Ravi, do you know?
Definitely.
Okay, so if you're interested and you are in the area of the Netherlands, do check that out.
Yeah.
The sign-up subscription will be in the... It's a free event, and the sign-up will be also posted in the show notes, so you have the opportunity to enroll there for the for the
and
day.
it won't be only Pigment, will be also all kinds of other forecasting tools,
It
so
will
you
be
can easily
our
compare.
independency will be shown there. So yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, cool. Then, well, thank you very much for today. I've really enjoyed talking about this. This is a new topic for me, so I've learned a lot today as well. I hope the listeners learned a lot about it today as well. Thank you very much, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ravi.
Thank you.
And we'll speak again in the future.